Hello viewers, Super GT here, welcome back to another fine episode of Gran Turismo Sport. So you can see it here, the Porsche 911. This is a continuation of the FIA off-season, and we turn our attention to the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit in Germany. So we've learnt some lessons here from the previous episode at Kyoto, where I messed up my qualifying. I absolutely botched the qualifying and I didn't set a lap time because I was too busy being in the pit lane or doing other stupid stuff. So this time around I've learnt my lesson, hopefully. I've shifted straight onto the soft tyre, and then at the end of the second lap we're not going to bother actually setting a time. We're going to go back in, get another fresh set so that we can set our prime qualifying lap on new tyres and with less fuel. So by the time we get around on this lap, as we can see here, coming up to the chicane to begin our flying lap, we are going to have just about enough time to set one more lap. There isn't enough time to go around twice, so this is going to be the final lap despite being 3.5 minutes remaining. I think they should change it to a system where you can start, if you've started your lap, you can kind of complete it like you can in Formula 1. But that isn't how it is, so we've got to deal with it. So here it is, my qualifying lap, into turn 1, braking just before the 100 board, pretty much where there's a sort of tarmac change. It turns into dirt or grass. Brake on that. I'm going to throw it into turn 2, coast slightly, and then power out to the outside. This one's a really hard corner because there's not really any decent braking markers for that corner. Hook it really narrow on the curb as much as possible. You save a lot of time by doing that, and you can extend the exit a little bit. On the run up then to turn number 5, looking for the cut through on the right hand side, braking just before the end of it, pretty much on the point, and we've gone through there, missing the apex slightly. This is an important corner, very easy to get wrong. Kind of hook up again to the apex as much as possible. On the run down towards the hairpin, looking for the curve on the left hand side where it changes there, braking just after, kind of hook it in, come back out, and then come back for the second apex. Haven't quite done that, gone maybe a little bit too early on the brakes. Down into first gear in this car. This car's gearing is a little bit different compared to a lot of the other Group 3 cars. We've just grazed the grass on the way in, which has kind of unsettled the car through the Schumacher S, but we've got through okay. I'm just going to dip 2 wheels across beyond the line to really extend the entry to that corner, and then back out to the left hand side. I'm going to really try to get some good power down here, using the curb on the left hand side. It can be tricky to do that because of course we've got gravel very close, which can suck you off, but just about get it done. And then looking for the boards on the right hand side, the 100 board, there it is, braking just before that. And FIA race here, so we've got to keep 2 wheels on the circuit, on the black stuff, and we won't get a penalty. Into the final turn, some people have gone into the pit lane now, which is too late. There's only 1.5 minutes left, so you're not going to be able to get around again. Coming across the line from 19th up to 3rd, 7 tenths off of the lead, so that wasn't too bad a lap. That 7 tenths is quite a worrying gap, but I'll kind of settle for that. But ultimately it was a 5th place once everyone had actually finished their laps. So here we are then, 5th place on the grid. I think we could do some damage from there, hopefully not literally. Well, we're going to find out. Evo on pole position, Ford GT 2nd, a couple of 911s in there too. So the Ford obviously is a top end car. The Evo does go well around here because it has really good handling, and it does go well around the long corners. So here I am, back in 5th in the 911 with a grid start. So let's obviously not get a penalty at the early stage of the race. And the lights go out. Now we pull away. The 2 guys on the left hand side of the grid don't get a good getaway. The 911 there, Carlos, slowly away, the 2 Spaniards. Alex Gardon in the Evo from pole down to 3rd. I'm looking up the inside and just go into the back of the McLaren and also get a hit in my rear end. So trading punts there, and unfortunately got front and rear bumper damage. I'm not sure how much that is going to affect my car. Sliding through the exit of turn 2 and just tucking in behind the Ford GT. So gaining 1 position here from the guy in 3rd who got a poor getaway. Coming out of turn 4, stadium section now towards turn 5. So the 2 ahead going 2x2, and also I'm 2x2 with the Corvette here. I'm going to sweep around the outside and just tuck in behind the Ford. And we've all done well here to not make contact with each other. And we're going to go down towards the hairpin and I've actually defended a little bit too late here, I think, because I didn't expect him to really go for the move, but he did, and he's pulled it off, and I just easily got past. So down to 5th, but it's okay for now. The Frenchman up into 4th in the Corvette. So we've got a lot of different cars here in the top 5, which is good to see. In fact, 5 different cars in the top 5. That's good stuff, because often we're seeing domination from one car. So through here, the 4GT very wide, and I'm making a mistake. You see this car is a little bit twitchy on the exits of corners. The McLaren just raises 2 wheels on, or 4 wheels onto the curb, and I'm just moving to the right hand side. I didn't know when he was going to ghost out, and thankfully he ghosted out just at the right time. I'm going to have to go defensive here because I had to slow down sufficiently to not go off the track, and I'm receiving some punts. I'm going to shortcut the chicane as kind of got forced into it, and the Spaniard actually loses quite a lot of time as a result of that. So I've just about kept my position. I think I went defensive at the right moment there because I was on the back foot from losing speed on that back straight. So settling into 4th place, I've got a 2.5 seconds now. The gap opened right up as a result of that incident at the chicane. Try to make amends now, try to get onto terms with the Corvette and the 4GT. The 4GT looks like he's struggling through these slower corners, and he probably would do, because that Ford is good around the fast corners, but it's not so good when things get a little bit slower, as we are through this first section. Turns 1 to 4, not very quick indeed. So the Ford might struggle. We'll see about that, and also doesn't have great brakes. So now we're being chased down by an Aston Martin, and this is the moment with the race really where you kind of just have to be really consistent. Just make sure that the guys behind don't kind of catch up and swallow you into their group. You don't really want to become part of that group, because as soon as you get caught up by a big group, it spells trouble for you. You can easily lose a couple of positions, not just one, but maybe 3 or 4 positions if they're all right behind each other. It only takes one mistake and you're going to go right down. So now, just a matter of concentrating, make sure we really don't make any mistakes, being consistent and smooth. Sometimes being cautious can definitely be the way to go. Don't drive 100%, drive at 95, drive at 90, just to make sure you don't make a mistake. On the whole, that could be quicker, especially in this game. A lot of people do make mistakes, and if you're the one that just doesn't make a mistake, you're going to beat a lot of people who do. So if anything, I'm in no man's land here. The gap is open in front and behind, so it's a little bit worrying that I'm losing pace, and I'm not quite sure how much that damage is doing. I'm not sure if it's doing anything. It feels like the car is fine, but it might just be affecting acceleration on the top end. I'm actually not sure what it is doing, because at least it's balanced. I have got front damage and rear damage, so if anything, it's balanced front to rear. We're going to progress slightly into the race, lap 4 now, so approaching halfway, and you see that we're behind just slowly beginning to reel me in. The gap in front has got way bigger. In fact, I've done nothing about trying to catch up with those people. In fact, it's got really big instead. The guys behind have done really well to kind of reel me in, so they've been consistent. They've been putting the laps in as well. To be fair, I haven't really put too many wheels wrong, but they've just done really well to be slightly more consistent and slightly faster. So the guy in second goes into the pits. He was on the soft tyre. I'm on the medium here, and I'm beginning to struggle already. So perhaps 2 stints on the soft would have been the better strategy. Is my strategy unravelling once again? We saw this at Kyoto last time out. Group 4, I made a really good comeback through the pack after qualifying 19th out of 20, and then, well, my pit stop strategy let me down. I was basically being hired by Ferrari to do a bad job, and I did do a bad job. We're going to try to make amends here, but strategy isn't my forte. And to be honest, I think if you really want to go into these races in the know, you do need to do a couple of practice runs. You need to do some reconnaissance. Basically, you need to basically do a 9-lap race and just test what is the best strategy. What is it? Is it 2 sets on the soft? Can you do 1 set on the medium? One stint on the medium? Sometimes you can. Kai has kind of done this. You might have watched a very recent video from him where he just did the entire race on 1 stint and didn't bother pitting. Sometimes it can be done. Although for me, often the one stop is very difficult. Sorry, the no stop is very difficult. It can be done, but it's more of a group 4 kind of thing. So into, I think it's turn number 10. a little bit deep, a little bit away from the apex. You see the grip now beginning to fall away as we've gone beyond the halfway mark. I'm up to third at this moment, so only really courtesy of one person pitting from in front. You see the train beginning to develop, the Super GT train. I went semi-defensive, not that strong though. Jessica Storm in the Aston Martin going to go ahead. Gone deep into the chicane and I can't really get my way past. So she's now going to dip into the pit lane. I've now got traffic behind. So actually Alex in the lead and the second Frenchman, both on mediums. I'm on the medium too, so that again is worrying. The fact that they just pulled away so easily, even though on the same tyre. So I couldn't quite fathom what was going on there. So I've got a fin now up the inside. And you might have noticed I've decided to not pit. And I thought I was in good company here because I've got quite a few people behind me who also aren't pitting. So this is my strategy. It probably won't work, but we're going to give it a try anyway, just for the lols. Why the hell not? Going to give it a try. I think I do need to practice no stopping because my tyre management isn't that great. It's always good to practice what you're not good at. So we're going to try to attempt. We're going to do it. We're going to try to go to the end of the race without stopping, which is probably going to spell my death and probably resignation from Gran Turismo Sport. But let's see how it goes. I'm going to try to manage this as best I can. I'm in the lead, and with 3 laps left to go after this one, could we pull off a crazy win, or at least a good result? I mean, it looked like we were going to finish 4th. If I can finish 4th or higher, then I think I've done well. But we're going to find out exactly how well I do. So we've got a couple of people behind who also are going for the same strategy. So at least we're not alone on this. And as soon as I saw those people following me away from the pit lane and around back onto the track again for another lap at the beginning of this lap, I thought, okay, maybe this is the right strategy to go for. It's obviously very hard. You can see just how bad the tyres are now. The front left. It's normally on a clockwise circuit. It's going to be the left-hand side, and normally the front, which really begins to suffer the most, and it has here. It's borderline dying right now. So I'm going to go defensive. Aston Martin is going to look to the right-hand side, I think. Yes, there he is, just briefly pops up. I tried to keep it on the track, and I don't actually, massive incident behind. So if I can just keep these guys smashing into each other like a bowling alley, then I might be okay. I have gained a penalty there, but that's not really going to cost me too much. It might be important if someone is right behind me coming up to the finish line, in which case they probably will overtake me. At this point here, things are looking sketchy, but okay. Remember, 4th place is kind of the target because I don't think I'll be able to undercut the 3 people that are ahead of me. One of them was ahead by like 6-7 seconds, so I don't think I'll be able to really beat that person on this strategy because basically I've got 0 grip right now. The car just sliding everywhere, it doesn't turn. It's basically the Titanic. I'm just steering it through the North Atlantic Sea, and it just really doesn't want to have anything to do with grip or handling or steering. It just isn't really about that. So here comes Alex. I've got a nice courtesy punt in the rear end. So the Spaniard's going to go through in an Evo with fresh tyres. I basically stand no chance. He's got tons of grip. 4GT goes through. The 4GT's done well to get onto terms then with Alex in the lead. You see a nice big gap behind though. Got about 6 seconds. So I can afford to lose about 2.5 seconds a lap at this stage here. So that's not too bad, I suppose. 2.5 seconds a lap. So maybe you lose 1 more second on this lap, and then 2.5 on the remaining 2. And of course the other guys, their tyres will begin to wear as well. So this could be close. This could be close at the end. The 4GT actually goes for the lead. He does have much better top end compared to that. The Evo. The Evo, I think, was actually braking a little bit early to serve some of his penalty, or at least try to. Coming through the chicane, that looks like it's going to be a penalty. Is it going to be a penalty? Again, yes it is, unfortunately. This is the thing, I suppose. You have to go so slow because of the lack of grip to get that car to turn in through there. And I've not really judged that quite right. But still in 3rd. I'll be pleased if I can just get towards the finish line with a decent track position, even if I lose a couple because of this penalty, I'll still be pleased that I managed to do it, or at least get close to doing it. But we'll see here, gap down to 5 seconds or 4.8, but it is coming down quite quickly at this moment. So going fourth is in the Corvette, so he was ahead of us by a couple of seconds before he pitted, and he was actually one of the ones to pit quite early, I think on the end of lap 4. So his tyres are going to be a little bit older than some of the people behind. So what I really need from them right now is to start fighting each other. That's really what I need. The gap down to 4.1. I'm just measuring this gap the best I can. It's coming down all the time. It's down to 3.9. It's coming down very quickly. So I think this is going to be a close finish at the end. And the tyres for me are getting even worse and worse by the corner. So grip is deteriorating. In fact, it's just pretty much completely gone now. I'm doing my best. I think I'm driving okay, but there's just nothing you can do against people who have got fresher tyres. It's very difficult to really do anything. And once they do catch up, or if they do, then it's going to be really difficult to defend, because you get really poor traction with this. When there's no grip, you just get zero traction coming out the turns, and everyone's just going to get a slingshot on you coming out. So gaps to 3.5. Looks like they're fighting behind. In fact, Jessica Storm up into 4th in the Aston Martin. So they are swapping positions. They are losing some time by somewhat fighting with each other. I've got the chicane better that time. You can see there, just keeping 2 wheels on the tarmac at all times and not getting any additional penalties. So 1 lap left to go, and we do have 2.5 seconds. In fact, well, 2.4. Pretty much no, 2.5 as we cross the line. So 2.5 seconds here to keep 3rd. If I can manage this, I'll be very pleased. We're going to see if I can. Into turn 1. This is the horror sector. This is where things are going to get really bad for me, because you need the most grip, I think, around here, around the slow corners. It is just painful driving through here with dead tyres. Rest in peace to my tyres, because they've done a really good job today of driving 8.2 laps so far of this track without dying, and they are almost dead. Well, they are dead, let's face it. Gap down to 1.1. Oh my god, there they are. This is looking ominous. They've gained 1.5 seconds in the first sector alone. This is not good news at all. Coming into turn 6, down towards the hairpin. I think the second half of the track is a lot better. It's slightly faster corners, and it's therefore a little bit harder to overtake. We do have of course the chicane at the end of the lap though to contend with, which can make things very, very difficult indeed. I've gone really deep. You can see there the braking ability drops right off. The braking zones become a lot longer. They become extended. Your grip through the turn becomes horrible. You get zero traction coming out of the corners. So I'm contending with all of these things. We've got a massive queue of cars now, all aboard the Super GT train. And I went defensive, and you see there's just nothing really I could do apart from going really defensive on the left hand side. But then I'll probably get past on the way out instead. Jessica Storm goes up into 3rd. I'm down in 4th. I'm fighting them off here. All of them are coming through. The German, the Czech. I'm just doing my best, but the Evo's on my left hand side. I don't think there's anything I can do here. Into the chicane. In fact, they're all queuing up on the inside to go through, and I can't really fight this one around the outside. I have no grip. The Brit in the Subaru comes lunging out of nowhere. I'm just going to have to serve the penalty here, unfortunately, and I'm going to drop down to 8th position. A couple more people behind, and I just about keep 8th. I suppose that wouldn't be too bad as we come through, and I've almost made it work. Honestly, you can see there the gap was about just 2 seconds in the end, and with that penalty, of course, that made the gap a little bit bigger. 8th position in the end, but I'd rather not look at the result because I've messed it up again. And this is live footage instead. This is live footage of what I'm doing to my PlayStation console right now. But I do hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Let me know your thoughts as always. Hit the like button if you did enjoy, and subscribe if you're new to the channel and would like to see more. I shall see you next time. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.
Listen.